iPhone 17 Pro Max or the iPhone 17 Pro? Which one should you actually buy? Let's go ahead and find that out in this video coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And let's go ahead and begin by talking about the price to value ratio. Now, this is the first year ever that you can get an iPhone, just a slab smartphone from Apple, for $2,000. You can get all the way up to 2 terabytes here for the Pro Max model here on the left. And this one, you're going to start at $100 more for $1099 because they dropped the 128 gigabyte model. However, no matter which way you slice it, you're paying more for the smaller Pro this year than you did last year. The Max still starting at $1199 for the 256 gigs, but you can get up there in the price point. Now, when it comes to which one is offering better value for money, I do think it's the Max. Reason why is because the Pro is up there as well, but it's giving you significantly smaller screen and battery. So from the perspective of just how much you're getting for your money, because of the closeness in price of the base models here, base starting 256 gigs, I always think the Max is going to be the better option when it comes to, because you're already paying $1,100 for this thing, $100 more, and you get longer battery life and a better display. But for some people, this is just too big of a phone, period, point blank. And for some people, the battery life is good enough on the Pro. But that's how I feel about the price to body ratio or value ratio. Now, when talking about the bodies of these phones, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to weigh in at 233 grams. That's equivalent to about 8.2 ounces. Now, we have the iPhone 17 Pro. This thing weighs 206 grams, which is equivalent to about 7.2 ounces. So it's about an ounce different in the weight. So it's not hugely different, but it is noticeable. Like, definitely. You're looking at a 6.3 versus a 6.9. However, both of these phones do have more of this like thicker feel this year to me. They do feel a little bit weightier than the titanium phones. So definitely the titanium Pros of last year were definitely lighter weight. However, I do think these feel nicer to hold in the corners. The iPhone 17 Pro is smooth. They're very smooth at the edges here. Very, very smooth. It reminds me a lot of the base model iPhone 17, maybe even smoother here at the edge. So they were always a little bit sharper at the corners. Definitely always more rounded design than Android competitors, but still, these feel super smooth to hold, and I do like that about them. However, both of these bodies are housing aluminum chassis, so they definitely are a bit more prone to scratching. So definitely probably put a case on them. That whole Scratchgate thing, though, I think is not going to be affecting most people who take care of their phones. But at the same time, let's be real, the titanium was a more premium material. However, this year we're looking at more function over form. So this aluminum enclosure allows Apple to make this phone dissipate heat much better. And it's very, very noticeable. And that goes for both of them. You could push both of these phones no problem. But when we look at the two-tone design, you'll see they kind of have like this glass insert, and then the camera plateaus up there on the top. Now, personally, I don't think this is my favorite iPhone design yet, definitely, but it is different. So I like how it does separate itself from the previous versions. At the same time, I don't think it's my favorite they've ever come out with for sure. You could see both of them do have camera control on the right. We do have power buttons up there. Flip them over to the left, we do have action buttons and volume rockers. However, you'll want to choose the iPhone 17 Pro Max if you're more okay with, a bigger display, bigger body of the phone. When we're talking about the body, you do want to pick the iPhone 17 Pro. If you find yourself juggling things more, you want to use one hand. I also feel like the 17 Pro Max is easier to drop simply because this aluminum while it is smooth, it is a little bit slippery. And if you're going without a case, the 17 Pro less likely to be dropped, I feel like, than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So I'd pick this one for a little bit better grip and also for, just having a lighter weight feel in the hand. When it comes to colors, I do prefer the silver as a long-term option. It's just more neutral, more classic. But the Cosmic Orange is definitely a bold color that stands out if you want something different. Now, I'm going to avoid the deep blue because Deep blue definitely scratches a bit more. That anodized color is going to show scratches a bit more if they do occur than these two colors. And also, they've been doing blue phones for a while. So I want to see like a dark green again for the Pros, or a red. Please, let's get a red already. It's been a long time since they put a red on one of the bigger boys. I think it was, when was the last time they did red? Was it all the way back at the 8 Plus? But yeah, that's how you would want to choose them in terms of the body. Both of them do have ceramic shield 2 on the front, and they do have ceramic shield on the rear as well. Okay, now when it comes to displays, I'm going to show you why I would choose the Max and why I would choose the Pro. So for this type of stuff, if you're reading an article, you have to do less scrolling. Not too much less, but definitely you can see it's a lot easier to see and read this bigger panel right here. This is one of the reasons. The next reason is going to be when you are typing out things. So let me go ahead and pull in a quick note here. Give me a second and we'll start this here. So when you're typing things, it's a very spacious experience to type on the Max. Definitely like this for sure. One of the cons though of this display is that you kind of have to do this if you're going to be one-handing this phone, kind of like that. And then it gets a little bit slippery unless you have a case. So a lot of the times you will be using two hands for this phone. In addition, there's one more reason why this is going to be, actually two more reasons why this is going to be a much better experience. I'll show you here. So when we are watching a video here, you'll see that if I pinch in, Dynamic Island does show a little bit, but it's just a much more spacious experience. So when we are watching content, this almost feels like I kind of have a little mini tablet-y thing in my pocket at all times. I do like that for watching video and stuff of this sort. And then the last reason is usually with a bigger phone, they do dissipate heat even better because there's just more physical space. This is one of the reasons why iPads don't really get too hot under usage. So if I am playing a game like Destiny for a reason, I would also lead you to go to the Max for this display option, because when you're playing a game, you might be looking at different characters on the screen, and just having a more spacious experience obviously makes it better. It's kind of like why gamers will get ultra wide monitors and stuff like that. And of course, I'm not comparing a phone to a ultra wide monitor, but the point I'm trying to make is that anytime you get more display space for gaming, it's always going to improve that experience. That's just the bottom line. That's why I like foldables for gaming. They're very large and fun to play on, but this one does really good with heat, graphical performance, and stuff like that. And so the iPhone 17 Pro Max, those are the reasons why I would choose it. Now, if you find yourself resonating with those, just get this phone. You're going to be very, very happy. The con with this phone, though, is when you're trying to reach stuff, it's 6.9 inches. Like, you're always going to be doing like this if you got one hand, or you have to be like this. Hold it with one hand, use your other pointer finger to go like this, and stuff like that. Messages do spread out quite nice on here as well. And they do a little bit more of those, like, half screen things when it comes to iMessage and stuff like that. But other than that, maybe viewing photos is also a nice experience. But let's talk about why you would choose the iPhone 17 Pro here. And so for me, it's this reason alone. Hold on. What do we do there? So I love how with this one, I could just one hand scroll and read this thing. I'm reading an article, I'm on the move. I like how I could just hold it like this and just one thumb, just go right through this article. I feel like it takes in a lot more, it can take in information quickly and comfortably on here. Now, if you go into the game, this does feel, I wouldn't say cramped, but definitely smaller. So you can play your games, but I feel like most people are going to go, when they have a phone like this, they're going to go to something a little bit bigger, maybe their tablet, their iPad, something like that, to go ahead and play their games on. And so that's one of the things I will say about this phone. It's not my favorite to game, especially on, RPGs and things of that sort. For casual games, I still like it. Like I'm not 57, but I'm just trying to get into this game. But if you hit like this, and you scroll and you go like this, these type of games, these one-handers, these are fun on the smaller Pro as well. Great casual, waiting at the dentist, waiting at wherever you're at. get a quick game session in. This is really good for this display. But as we get into music, it's also easy to one hand find your songs, searching out things, and I find myself not having to use that one-handed keyboard too much. Sometimes it's still useful on this phone, and this is still a pretty good size screen, but this is just a more comfortable daily. That's just the way I can say about this phone right here. But if you're heavy using, I strongly prefer the Max. It feels like a more of a beastly size for the day-to-day. But other than that, I think communications wise, still having enough screen space, getting quick tasks done. It's the 17 Pro. It's for you, 100%. Another thing I will say is that I prefer the Max when it comes to framing photos because they're huge. The display is huge on here, so it's really fun to take photos. However, I don't prefer it when it comes to quick on the move shots because with this display right here on the 17 Pro, it's so small, you can just kind of like one thumb the camera shutter without feeling like you're going to drop the phone too much. I could even like one finger this camera control over here. So you've seen a lot of different scenarios where the 17 Pro is in the lead versus the Max, and where the Max is in the lead over the Pro. I also find that the dynamic island, because it's spread across a larger screen, I find myself looking at it more on the iPhone 17 Pro just because all the way up here, it's less distracting on the Max. So that's how I would decide on display. Both of them do hit approximately 3,000 nits of high brightness when they do get triggered by sunlight outdoors. You do have to have auto brightness on for that. And the iPhone 17 Pro Max does have slightly more screen to body. It's 90.7 versus 89% screen to body ratio. Both of them are 19:5:9, so the width of these phones are kind of like the same aspect ratio, so that's not a big issue. And they both have anti-reflective properties, but they're not quite as good as the ones you'll find on like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Both at 460 pixels per inch though, so very sharp panels as well. And lastly, they're both ProMotion, so they're going to scroll exactly the same, and that's about all you need to know. So whatever you find yourself resonating with more amongst those areas we discussed deeply in the display, that's going to be the panel that you should go with for sure. Now when we talk about software, we are looking at iOS 26 on both of these. Now iOS 26 is a big overhaul for iOS. It changes most of the UI elements, including giving you things like clear icons and stuff of that sort. And I gotta say, I'm not so sure I'm loving this so far. There's something about it that's just, to me, it's a little distracting. There's a lot of like bouncing going on with these things up here. And like, I know it's supposed to like visually be pleasing, but for some things, I think it's just a little bit too much. Some people definitely tend to prefer it. And I do think it looks sleek and modern, but at the same time, at the core, iOS is still basically iOS. You get frequent updates. And you get this new looking camera design layout right here. So that's going to be a little bit different for sure. And they zoom in a little bit further here now on this camera. But yeah, quite a few changes here to iOS 26, including call screening and stuff of that sort. So a lot going on there. But if you're choosing the 17 Pro, you're not really upgrading or getting anything different on the smaller panel. You're basically getting the same exact experience. So either way you go here, iOS 26 is going to be about the same. They do have the same CPU and clock speed, so expect same longevity and software support. So that's a good thing either way you go here with both of them. Now running iOS 26 does feel like it's a little bit more it seems more designed for a phone, a regular size phone, just because it doesn't do any split screen or anything like that. But blown up here on the Max, you do get all those other display benefits that we talked about earlier. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep into performance because I do make a lot of speed tests here on this channel, so you could just go watch my speed tests. But a quick note, both of these phones do offer the Apple A19 Pro with 4.25 gigahertz, 27 gigahertz of clock speed and 12 gigs of RAM. They perform like an absolute champ. That's all you got to say. That's all I got to say. iOS 26 does have a few issues with the animation. Sometimes there's a little like weird things that happen, but they're going to optimize this and we'll be on our way. So either way you go, you're fine with performance. We don't got to go on and on about that. So what's nice about both of these is they do feature the same exact camera layouts. So they are triple 48 megapixels. So each lens, that includes the wide, periscope, telephoto, and the ultra wides, are all 48 megapixels. That is pretty awesome. They also have LiDARs right there. In addition to that, they do have a really nice video qualities as well. So you're going to get some amazing pro raw res stuff and things of that sort if you are doing that. But I think what most consumers are going to notice is just how far these can zoom and how sharp they look at these zoom lengths. 4x, 8x cropping in, and also we can go up to 40 times digital. And here I'm not going to be able to get the sharpest photo because I'm just zooming in on a box. But outdoors, you'll definitely see how nice and sharp these photos can look. The overall layout of the camera, I'm still getting used to it, but they do kind of put photo and video, which is the most important things people use, up at the front. Of course, you still have your styles on here as well. And generally, those upgrades to the camera on the front center stage are also pretty awesome for both of them. So either way you go, I think you're going to be extremely happy. And I like how at least every model is starting at 256 gig base model. So you're going to be able to take a lot of photos and videos, take advantage of these cameras, and not run out of storage immediately quickly. So that's pretty good. 4K 60. I wish they did do 8K just to say we got something new. But it's nice that at least if you go with the Pro on the camera, you still get to do the same zoom, the same 4 times. So you're not feeling like you're behind if you go with the Pro, the smaller Pro. It's still a Pro phone, but it is smaller. I do feel like if you are doing professional camera stuff though, the Pro Max is going to be the way to go for framing things, putting on a tripod and stuff like that. You want the biggest viewfinder for doing that. So videographers, pro videographers, I'd say go with the Max. Longer battery, your phone won't die as fast. I would say pro photographers, go with the iPhone 17 Pro because it's easier to hold. It's more compact. It's like, it would be like point and shoot versus a bigger camera in the camera space, but this one gives you that more quick point and shoot kind of feel. So 17 Pro for photographers, I would say pro photographers, and for pro videographers, I would say content creators doing it all, go with the Max. And for those of you who aren't pros, you can also take that, what I was saying, as well for yourself. The iPhone 17 Pro, if you like to just do photography, you like things portable, quick snaps, go with the iPhone 17 Pro. And for those of you who want to do it all on your phone, you want to get all your memories, you want to zoom in, you want to frame things, you want to see your photos large, you want to do all those things, go ahead and get the Max. It's going to be the better option for you right there. Now, when it comes to battery life, this is an easy one. Pick the iPhone 17 Pro Max for a longer battery. You have over 4,800 milliamps on here. Over here, you're barely touching 4,000. So we're talking a good hour better battery life on the Max. Now, that could be the difference between an emergency situation and a quick correction. The model that I was discussing earlier, this actually has a 5,088 on the iPhone 17 Pro Max because this is the eSIM model. I was actually discussing the Nano SIM model. This one actually has a 4252, so quick correction on that because these are the eSIMs. They do have different batteries depending on which region you are in though, but we have the bigger ones here in the US. And also, you do have faster charging than before, but it's still not going to touch like OnePlus phones and things of that sort with the warp charging that they do over there. But generally, both of these last significantly long. So these are like the 13 Pro and Pro Max all over again. Great year for people who want amazing battery life, but the actual runtime could be anywhere from an hour to 2.5 hours better on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So battery, $100 more, much longer battery, or save that $100 and still get good battery, but you might need a MagSafe if you're a super heavy user. If you know you're a power user, come on, just get the Max. You'll just have to deal with the size. It's worth it for the battery life. When it comes to network performance, they both have very fast download speeds, upload speeds. They're better than ever before, and they sound great when it comes to making phone calls. They both have emergency SOS. They both have messaging via satellite, so they're definitely both kind of got all the same features when it comes to that. So let's come to the final verdict. And a lot of people think this is just a very simple answer. You want the big phone, get the big phone. You want the small phone, it's not that simple. I've been swapping between these things for over the years, and I got to tell you, a lot of the same stories hold true, but I find myself it's kind of like the user more than it's just a big or small phone. A user who needs to push that phone harder will just have to deal with the size, whether they want a big or small phone or not, because this phone has the bigger battery. That's the bottom line. So that user, it's not just about size, it's about longevity and the battery life. Yes, the Pro is good, but this is just great. It has almost 1,000 milliamp more size. Also for videographers, again, they're going to want to put this on a tripod and they want to do 4K video, extended sessions. They don't want this thing to kick out really quick. Same goes for gamers. If you're playing an extended gaming session, they want their phone to last longer. And for weekend warriors too, they want their phone to last longer. And some of the intangibles are, for those of you who are having maybe less than stellar vision, seeing a bigger display is always going to be a better option for you. But also less scrolling, I find. I just find this phone to be a bit more productive when it comes to, people are using their phone more like a computer in their pocket. This one right here. Heavier users have you, or business users, or content creators, or not just that. It's just people who want to put everything in one device. They don't have a tablet, or they're not using laptop too much. They want it all in one package. That's the one. The Pro, on the other hand, I think suits better people who are kind of in the ecosystem and they're like using their iPad for the heavier stuff. They want this thing to be their powerhouse in their pocket. And obviously some people just can't handle the Max. So this gives them close enough if they got smaller hands. That's for sure. But for people who just want to be portable, a little bit more sleek, a little bit more on the move with their phone, this is still the better option. But to me, it's not the better GPS. Like if you're putting this in your car window or something, it's not the better GPS phone. It does slot into cubby holes a little bit better inside of your car, especially if you have a smaller car or a car that has like small storage pockets and stuff like that. This does fit better there. Also will fit better in purses and bags and stuff of that sort. So this is going to be the better option for those type of people. And also for those who want to do a lot of text messaging, iMessaging, social media communications, anything where like you're trying to one hand thumb or one thumb type, or you just want it lighter for a lot of communications. I think the Pro is the better option for that. So that's how I would decide. Whatever you find yourself resonating with more, that's going to be the phone for you. Keep in mind though, you might be paying a little bit more for the Max up front, but when you go to trade it in, you usually get a good amount back over the smaller Pro. So the Max does retain its value a little bit more because it is the best of the best. It is the bigger version. So that's going to wrap it up here for me. I think either way you go though, you're winning because both of them do have great battery life, great heat management, and they both have the same camera system. You're not getting a worse camera if you go with the smaller option. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on the next episode. If you have any more questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.